Ever gaze up at the sky and spot that bright, shiny object we call Venus? It's a sight to behold, isn't it? It's no wonder that throughout history Venus has been revered as a celestial beacon. Ancient civilizations gazed at the night sky, mesmerized by this luminous entity. They named it the morning star, or the evening star, entranced by its dazzling brightness that outshone every other object in the night sky. But let's not be fooled by its celestial charm. Venus, while strikingly beautiful, is a world of extremes. It's like the proverbial wolf in sheep's clothing. From our vantage point here on Earth, it appears serene, almost tranquil, but that's far from the truth. Venus, my friends, holds some deadly secrets. Imagine a world where the sun doesn't rise for months. Imagine a place where a single day lasts longer than a year. Hard to fathom, right? Yet that's Venus for you. It's a slow spinner, with a day-night cycle that lasts 243 Earth days. So if you thought your workday was long, think again. And then there's its infernal heat. Venus is the hottest planet in our solar system, even hotter than Mercury, which is closer to the sun. The surface temperature here can easily melt lead. We're talking about a scorching 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than the most extreme sauna you've ever been in. But the most terrifying aspect, the atmosphere. It's dense, it's suffocating. It's as if you're a mile underwater. The crushing pressure, the intense heat, and the unbreathable air make Venus the epitome of a hostile environment. So, from here, Venus seems peaceful, almost inviting. But let's delve deeper. Let's uncover the secrets that lie beneath its radiant exterior, and explore the paradox that is Venus. Beautiful, yet deadly. Let's journey together into the heart of the morning star. Imagine a place hotter than the hottest oven, a world where metal melts like ice cream on a hot summer day. Welcome to Venus, the Inferno planet. The second planet from the Sun, Venus is our solar system's broiler, a world that would make Dante's Inferno seem like a winter wonderland. Now let's delve into the brutal reality of Venus's surface temperature. Picture this, you're preparing a Thanksgiving feast. The turkey is in the oven, roasting at a cozy 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now multiply that by nearly 3, and you're still not even close to how hot Venus can get. We're talking a scorching 900 degrees Fahrenheit, folks. That's hot enough to not just cook your turkey, but to transform it into a pile of charred ashes within seconds. But it's not just about the turkey. Imagine a block of lead, that dense, heavy metal. On Earth, lead melts at a temperature of over 600 degrees Fahrenheit, but on Venus? That block of lead would melt like an ice cream cone left out in the sun. And let's not forget about the pressure. It's about 92 times the pressure of Earth's atmosphere. That's equivalent to being about 3,000 feet underwater. So not only would you be roasted, you'd also be crushed. Venus, while beautiful from afar, is a world of extremes. It's a planetary furnace, a place where even the most heat-resistant materials we have would become as malleable as clay. So, if you're planning a trip to Venus, better pack your heat-resistant suit. And maybe a pressure suit too. Because on Venus, the phrase, feeling the heat, takes on a whole new meaning. What if I told you the air you breathe could be your worst enemy? Now imagine being on Venus, where every breath you take would be a gamble with death. The air there isn't like the air here on Earth, it's a toxic cocktail, composed mostly of carbon dioxide with a dash of nitrogen. But that's not the worst part. Within the thick, yellowish clouds that shroud the planet, there's sulfuric acid. And we're not talking about a little sprinkle here and there. No, these clouds are chock full of the stuff. And the pressure? It's like being about a mile under the ocean. Sulfuric acid, for those of you who don't know, is a corrosive substance. It's used in laboratories to dissolve metals, and it's not something you'd want to breathe in. Inhaling it could lead to severe respiratory problems, among other things. It's not a pretty picture, folks. And then there's the pressure. On Venus, it's about 92 times greater than what we experience here on Earth. That's equivalent to being about a mile underwater. Just think about that for a moment. Walking around on Venus would feel like trying to walk at the bottom of the ocean, except you'd also be breathing in corrosive gas. But why is the atmosphere of Venus so different from ours? Well, scientists believe it's due to a runaway greenhouse effect. Venus's proximity to the sun and its thick atmosphere trap the sun's heat, causing surface temperatures to soar and creating a hostile environment. So, if you were contemplating a trip to Venus, you might want to reconsider. Between the extreme heat, the sulfuric acid clouds, and the crushing pressure, it's not exactly a vacation hotspot, but who knows, maybe one day we'll find a way to make it habitable. Breathing on Venus? Not as easy as it sounds. Ever been caught in a rainstorm without an umbrella? On Venus, that could be a deadly mistake. Now, when you think about rain, you probably imagine a gentle shower, the soft patter of water on leaves, maybe even the refreshing smell of damp earth. But on Venus, rain is a whole different ballgame. Let's take a journey to our neighboring planet, where the skies weep not with water, but with acid. Yes, you heard that right. On Venus, it rains sulfuric acid, a corrosive chemical that can eat through metal, never mind a humble umbrella. How does this happen, you ask? Well, the story begins high in Venus's atmosphere, where the sun's heat causes sulfur dioxide and water vapor to rise. These chemicals react with one another to form sulfuric acid, which then condenses into clouds. These clouds, heavy with acid, eventually release their deadly cargo in a downpour that could make even the most hardened meteorologist blanch. But wait, there's more. The surface of Venus is so hot, we're talking hotter than the hottest oven, that the acid rain doesn't even get a chance to hit the ground. It evaporates mid-air, creating a dense, acidic fog that shrouds the planet in a perpetual gloom. So what's the effect of all this acid rain? Well, it's not great for the local real estate, that's for sure. The acid rain and fog are slowly but surely eating away at the planet's rocky surface, creating a landscape that's as inhospitable as it is eerie. And yet, despite the acid rain, the searing heat, and the crushing pressure, Venus still holds a strange fascination for us Earthlings. Maybe it's the challenge it presents, or maybe it's the sheer alienness of it all. Either way, it's a reminder of just how diverse and surprising our universe can be. Next time you complain about the rain, remember it could be worse. It could be acid. Despite all this, could Venus be a future home for humanity? It sounds like a question lifted straight from a science fiction novel, yet it's one that some forward-thinking scientists are seriously considering. So let's take a moment to wrap our heads around this idea. Imagine a city, not built on solid ground but floating in the sky. A city not tethered to Earth, but drifting among the clouds of our neighboring planet, Venus. A city suspended in a world of perpetual twilight, far above the scorching surface and the deadly rain. This is the concept of cloud colonies. Now, how is this possible, you might ask? Well, it's all about location, location, location. About 30 miles above Venus's surface, the planet's atmosphere is surprisingly Earth-like. Temperatures hover around a comfortable 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and the air pressure is akin to what we experience at sea level here on Earth. Creating a habitat in this zone, scientists believe, could be feasible. The idea is to build enormous air-filled structures that could float in the Venusian atmosphere. These structures would be filled with breathable air for US humans, which conveniently is lighter than the Venusian atmosphere and would provide the lift needed for these cloud colonies. Of course, living in the clouds of Venus wouldn't be without its challenges. There would be the constant threat of sulfuric acid in the surrounding atmosphere, and the lack of solid ground beneath might be a little unnerving for some. But with advances in material science and technology, these hurdles could potentially be overcome. The notion of cloud colonies does sound like a wild fantasy, but remember, so did the idea of humans flying or stepping foot on the moon, and yet, here we are. As we continue to push the boundaries of our technological capabilities, who's to say what the future holds? Living in the clouds of Venus, a dream or a potential reality? You decide. Venus, beautiful, deadly, and perhaps our next frontier. Venus, our next-door neighbor, often mistaken for a star, has long been a source of fascination. Its beauty is undeniable, shining brightly in our sky. But don't be misled by its serene glow. This celestial body is far more than just a pretty face. Beneath its gleaming facade lies a world that is nothing short of a raging inferno. The surface of Venus is a roiling cauldron, hot enough to melt lead. Imagine, if you will, a scorching landscape where the temperature soars to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than the hottest oven, hotter than a blacksmith's forge. But the heat is just the beginning. The air on Venus is no breath of fresh air. It's a deadly cocktail of gases, thick with carbon dioxide and clouds of sulfuric acid. Picture a place where it doesn't just rain, it pours acid. The atmospheric pressure is so intense it's akin to being 1 mile deep in the ocean. Yet despite these harsh and seemingly insurmountable conditions, Venus continues to captivate us. Its allure lies in its potential. Scientists are toying with the idea of a life among the clouds of Venus, far above the torment of its surface. They envision floating cities, entire colonies suspended in the cooler, more habitable upper atmosphere of the planet. They call it cloud colonies. It sounds like a far-fetched dream, something straight out of a science fiction novel. But remember, there was a time when the idea of humans taking flight was considered absurd. The Wright brothers proved the skeptics wrong, and perhaps we're on the verge of another paradigm shift. We've come a long way since the Wright brothers. Could the next big leap be a city floating in the clouds of Venus? Now, here's a thought to ponder. Imagine another morning, waking up not to the familiar sights and sounds of Earth, but to the alien landscapes of Venus. Imagine living amidst the clouds on Venus, far above the scorching surface, in floating cities where temperatures are much more forgiving. It's an intriguing concept, isn't it? Sure, there are challenges. The surface of Venus is hotter than a summer barbecue, and the air is a cocktail of noxious gases. But remember, once upon a time, the idea of flying was considered ludicrous too, so why not dream about a future where we conquer the skies of Venus, just as we did with our own? The idea of living on Venus, it's a bold one, filled with risks and unknowns, but isn't that what exploration is all about? Would you dare to call Venus home? Share your thoughts in the comments below.